exact formulas every data analyst must know. Exact formulas every Excel user must know. Welcome to Day 6 Data Analysis Scholarship course. I'm your facilitator, Mr. Franklin. This training is brought to you by Soluma Institute of Tech and Management. Kindly let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see my screen. Welcome once again. Welcome to Excel formulas and functions. You must know. You must be able to master. You should be able to understand. You should be able to learn. For you to master Excel, for you to be an Excel pro, you need to ensure that you master these functions. Today is Day 6 of Data Analysis Scholarship Training for Cohort 2. Welcome to today's live section. In this class, we are going to delve further into Excel formulas and functions. You must know as a data analyst, we are going to be looking at the lookup functions. Like I told us yesterday, we are going to be looking at the logical functions, the array functions, and even the error handling functions. That's what we have for tonight. Confirm if you can hear me. Confirm if you can see my screen. Much appreciated. And if you are here with me, let's quickly run over to the scholarship group. Let everyone know we are live, and also joining us, hit the like button on this live section. Let's quickly do that. Let's get to scholarship group. Let everyone know we are live once again. I remain your facilitator, Mr. Franklin. I'm a seasoned data analyst and a management consultant. Welcome. As our tradition is, drop your attendance, your name, your scholarship ID, your location. Much appreciated. And at the same time, head over to the scholarship group. Type that we are live. Let's tag them in the scholarship group that we are live. Quickly, I'm going to be starting. This is Data Analysis Scholarship course. We are still in Excel formulas and functions. And this training is brought to you by Soluma Institute of Tech and Management. The training is brought to you by Soluma Institute of Tech and Management. Once again, you are welcome. I'm your facilitator, Mr. Franklin. Like I said earlier, I'm a seasoned data analyst and a management consultant. All right. We are not going to waste much time. Please, I need one person to just drop. If you have typed in the scholarship group, we are live. Just type in the comment. Done. If I get one confirmation from us, I will proceed. Type in the comment done. If you have gone to the scholarship group and let them know we are live, I will proceed. Just drop in the comment section done. Let's do that quickly. Please, let's bombard the group. Time is not on our side. We have a lot to cover tonight. We have a lot to cover this night. You are welcome. Stanley, I can see you. Florence, I can see you. Adeyemi, you are welcome. Williams, you are welcome. Jibril, you are welcome. So let's get that. Let's go over to scholarship group. We are live. We have started. Whatsoever way you want to remind every one of them there, just let me know. Done. Thank you, Florence, for that. Let's quickly head to Excel based on what we have tonight. Let's quickly head over to Excel. All right. This is our workbook. This is our data set that we will be working with tonight's section. Okay, Williams, thank you for your feedback. All right, let me know. Okay, again, thank you for that feedback. Let me know what you can see before you currently. What is there on your screen? What can you see right there on your screen? I want to be sure that we are all on the same page. I want to be sure that we are all on the same page. What can you see right there on your screen? Let me know. What can you see right there on your screen so that I will be sure that we are all on the same page? Drop in the comment, drop in the comment, drop in the chat, drop it in the chat, live chat here, drop it. What you can see, let me know. I just need 1 or 2 persons to confirm that my screen is visible. You can see what is on my screen there. Thank you, Florence, ABC Superstar, beautiful. Okay, now we are going to go straight into the logical functions. And tonight, we are going to be looking at these logical functions. These logical functions. Now, in talking about logical function, we need to understand what these are. We call these logical operators. These are functions, these are operators. These are logical operators. Of course, we already know that this is a quantities operator, this is a greater than operator, this is less than operator, this is greater than or equals to, that's how we write it in Excel, greater than or equals to, this is less than or equals to, and this means not equals to. That's what this is, that's how you write it. And this we refer to them as logical operators. They are what we call logical operators. Thank you, Wisdom. Thank you, Williams and Stanley. Okay, now we are going to be first logical operator. First logical function we are going to be looking at is the if function. What do we use if function for? It's a logical function in the sense that there is a condition attached that if so this happens, they will return this for me. For example, let's take for example, we have these customers and we want to, let's say during the Christmas period, during the summer period or any festive period, we look at our customers and we want to reward those customers that have patronized us the most. The company can decide to set a target or set a benchmark. If any of these customers have patronized us and we have gotten profit, we have gotten a profit from this customer, say $2,000 above, for example, then let's give this, then the customer deserve a bonanza, deserve a promo, deserve a bonus, and what have you. So if the person doesn't meet it, then no bonus, no reward, as the case may be, depending on what the management decide to call it. Now, to do that, I'm going to, let me reduce these things so as to see if I want to remove the decimal places, so I went to number format, or you press Ctrl+1, it will bring you here the decimal places, you bring it down to 0 and then hit OK. The decimals are gone. So if we bring it back like this, that's what we have. I want to kind of bring this in so as to have a kind of space. I'm looking for space. That's because I zoomed this. Let me okay, let me also remove the decimal places there. All right, now I've been able to get some space. Why I wanted to okay, now we can see here very well. So let me freeze here. Okay, now to perform the if function, I want to be seeing every of my data here. So if I'm moving forward, that's why I freeze it. Once I'm done with if, I can perform that of ifs and the likes, so as to be seeing what my data set is, what my data set looks like, and then get certain stuff I want to get from there. Okay, now we are going to use the if function to see any of the customers that we are going to give bonus. To see any customer we are going to give bonus. Let's take, for example, our manager comes and said, all right, I am within this is the record of our customers and the profit we are able to generate from them. Check these customers, let me know from the sales, let's see the one that we are going to give bonus. So this is the bonus criteria. This is the bonus criteria. Let's say that the bonus criteria is 2,000. Let's take, for example, that the bonus criteria is 2,000, and then any person that has, we make profit of more than 2,000, then we give bonus. Any of, if not, no bonus. So what do? We are going to say equals to, we type if, press tab for that function to show. We type the if function, it means increase the quality of your video on YouTube. Is clear from my end here. Just increase the quality of your video on YouTube. That will be clear. If you increase the quality of your video, it will be clear. Okay, now you say equals to, you type if function, open parentheses, is asking us what is our logical test. Remember, our logical test is that if the profit is greater than 2,000, so that we are going to be using this logical operator here, the greater than operator. So if this is greater than 2,000, comma, now this 2,000, remember I said if you are entering something that is numerical value, you don't need to put it under any quotation. But if it is a character, a text alphabet, you need to put it under the quotation. So our logical test, we are testing this. If the value here is greater than 2,000, then what do we want? If that statement, if that value is true, what do we want? We can say deserved bonus. For example, we close the quotation. What if the value is false? What if the value is false? We can say no bonus. Then close the parentheses as well. That becomes our if function, if argument. We are saying that if this, any value here, if it's greater than 2,000, then let's have deserved bonus. If not, no bonus. Now, if that is the case, we can now hit enter. So automatically we can see here that the value, what we have is deserved bonus. Why? Because it's greater than 2,000. Now, if I drag down If I drag down, let me drag up to this point. Now, if I drag down, you notice that anyone that is less than 2,000 is saying no bonus. Anyone that is greater than 2,000, we have deserve bonus. So that becomes our if function. Now, for example, let's take, for example, someone said, I don't need no bonus. This might confuse somebody. Just anywhere there is no bonus, let it be blank. What do? We head over back to our formula and then just delete no bonus and leave it this way. Open and close. Open and close. You open the quotation, you close it, and then you hit enter. You will have this because there is no bonus. When you double click it down, you notice that the ones that doesn't deserve bonus, the place is blank, the cells are blank. Why? Because it's less than 2,000. Now that depends on what you want. That depends on what you want. If you want an empty cell, you do this. If you don't want, you put in a value when it's false. You put in a particular value when it's false. All right. Now, having established that, that is for the if function. That is for the if function. Moving forward, we have the one we call the ifs function. Moving forward, we have the one we call the ifs function. Function, that is when we are working with multiple criteria. That's when we are working with multiple criteria. What do we mean by multiple criteria? Now, if multiple criteria in the sense that we have different batches. Now, let's take, for example, the management now come up and say, well, our customers, we might not reward them the same, but let's put them in different categories. So when this person meets this, the person is in bronze category. When this person meets this, is in silver, is in gold, in diamond. Also, those of us in HR, we use this also a lot to reward stars. And when we set targets for stars, for sales personnel, for any performance target we are setting, it is highly recommended, advised that we make the performance in categories, not just put it at a fixed stuff. We make the staffs to see that all right, someone said you didn't get the ifs function. Okay, I will do that again. Now the if function here is this. Let me explain this. Even if we won't be able to finish this night, we might have a second section for these functions and formulas. Let me not rush it. Now, if function, you use if function when there is a condition. That's why we are calling it, that's why we call it logical function. We use if function when there is a condition. And here in the data set, we have customers and we have their patronage. This is the amount each of them. So, and the management said, let's reward our loyal customers. Those customers who have given us more than $2,000 profit. Who have given us more than $2,000 profit. So those ones, the management comes and say, run analysis on this data set, bring out those customers. Let's get those customers that we have been able to generate over $2,000 profit. Those ones, we are going to give them bonus. Those ones deserve bonus. Anyone that doesn't make up to 2,000 profit, we didn't make up to 2,000 profit, no bonus. That's the condition. So the condition is that the customers, for the customers to deserve bonus, we ought to have gotten a profit of over $2,000 from them. So to calculate that, we are going to make use of the if function. And to do that, we are going to do that, we say equals to, remember I said earlier that any formula function calculation in Excel must start from a quality sign. That's what I call the almighty rule. So you say equals to, you type if. Come to this if function, you double click. Now, when you double click, what is your logical test? What are you testing on? Or what is your argument? The argument or the test is if this value here, any value inside this cell, because we are working with profit. If we are working with amount, we select amount. If we are working with profit, we select the value under profit column. So we say if the value here is greater than, I have already talked to us about the logical operators. Now, if this is greater than 2,000, remember that is our criteria. That is our criteria. Any person's profit that is greater than 2,000, then let's give the person bonus. So here I put comma. Now that have settled the logical test. The next we are looking at what, okay, Z is now asking, okay, if the value is true, what do you want me to display? Let's take, for example, the value is true. Now, what do you want me to display? Excel is asking. So we are going to take to Excel, give bonus. For example, let's say, or deserve bonus, whatever we want to put there. So we type it, give bonus. And remember I said earlier yesterday and thereabout that anytime you are putting in a text or a character in Excel, you put it under double quotation. So this is what we have. Then you put comma. Comma is used to separate each of the arguments. Then you put comma. Now we have settled what the value is true. Now Excel is now asking, okay, what if the value is not true? What if the value is false? What do you want? Here I can type in no bonus. I can type in here no bonus. I can type in here no bonus. So when that we put there no bonus, what Excel is going to assess is going to check the value here. If this value here is greater than 2,000, then it will give us the first statement. If it's less than 2,000, then it will give us the second statement we put here. That is what if function is all about. That's the if function. Then we hit enter. So when we hit enter, Excel checks it. Okay, this is greater than 2,000. Then it returns give bonus. Now, if I drag it down, you see that this one here is less than 2,000. Excel return no bonus. This is less than Excel return. This is less than Excel return. This is less than Excel returns. Now you see different, the ones that are greater than Excel gives us this. So that way we are able to know the ones that deserve bonus or the ones we are going to give bonus and the ones we are not going to give bonus. However, someone might say, okay, this might confuse me. This might confuse me. I want the persons, those that doesn't deserve bonus, let's nothing display. In other words, let this be empty. Let this be empty. Let nothing to display here. What do? We head back to our formula. Just come to this value if false. If the value is false, we don't need anything. That means if the person doesn't meet the criteria, if the person doesn't meet the benchmark. So we just delete it, open and close the quotation, and then we hit enter. We get give bonus. Now if we drag it down once again, you will see that that place becomes empty. And that is if function. That is if function. Are we clear with that? I need us to respond ASAP so that I move to ifs. I will be needing our response. I hope that is clear. Drums of legend, I hope that is clear. I will be needing our feedback. Is I hope is clear now. I hope is clear so that I will move to ifs. So that I will move to ifs function. Please, let's respond. Time is not on our side. I'm moving to if function. I hope that is clear. All right. Now getting to if function. Now under if function, on the if function, beautiful. On the if function, remember if, in the if we have just one criteria, one condition. It's just one condition. We have one condition. But let's take, for example, our manager said those that make greater than 2,000 will fall under diamond. We fall under the diamond. Then those that are maybe, let's say, greater than 1.5 will be silver. Those that are, let's say, 1,000 will be this will be gold, this silver. Those that is greater than 500 will fall under bronze, for example. In other words, we now have four criteria. We have four criteria. Criteria one is that if the customer will have a profit, we make profit from that customer more than 2,000, then that customer is in the diamond category. If that customer didn't meet diamond, but we make a profit of above greater than $1,500, then the customer falls in gold. If the customer will make, let's say, we make 1,000 profit from the customer, it falls in silver. And then the customer the customer falls in bronze. Now let me alternate this data set a bit so that we can have different stuff here. Let's say okay, then we have the one that is less than. Okay, now I just made this based on this so that we can easily understand this particular function. Ifs we use it when we have more than one criteria. Also, those of us that are teachers, maybe you're a core member, you are teaching in school and you want to grade your students, you make use of the if function as well. We are going to be doing series of real life projects. We'll be making use of these functions when we get there. Please, let's take note of that. Now you make use of ifs. If you are, let's take for example, you have your grade. For the person to get A, it has to score 70 above, B 60 above, C 50 above, D 45 above, E 40 above, then anything less than 40 will be F. Those criteria, those categories, you make use of ifs as well. So either way, depending on what you are working on, once there is more than one criteria, or more than one category, you make use of ifs. All right. Now, to do that, we say equals, type this, let's take this one. That's the ifs. Now, or some call it effects, anyone you want to call it. Now, let's begin with our logical test one. Now, it's asking us logical test one. Our first logic says, if this is greater than this. Now I don't need to type 2,000 again because I have them written down here. So why I did that is that to show us another way in which we can do this as well. Now if this is greater than this, ask me why. I will explain later when we get into real life project. I will explain later. But when this happens, you press F4 to lock it. That's what we call absolute referencing. I will be explaining it later when we are going into real life project, I will be talking about the absolute referencing and relative referencing. However, when you click on this, press F4, there is a reason for that. If not, you are going to get an error or you get a wrong result. So if this is greater than this, comma, is now asking us the value if true. Is asking us the value if true. Now I need to establish this. I need to say this. The if function returns, excuse me, let me remove, excuse me, let me remove this, and then I don't necessarily need these places. Let me bring this more this way. Okay. I think this is better for me. So let me now freeze it. Okay. Now, if function only works with the value being true. Only. If function works with the value being true, it doesn't return value if it's false. No. When you are making use of ifs, is value when true. It doesn't return the value when false. So that's what we should be, that's what I want to emphasize on. So we have this, let's double click this. Logical test 1, if this is greater than this, remember to press F4 to lock it. Now what is locking? You will see when I press F4, it assigns a $sign. The $sign to L and $sign to 1. Because the cell name here is L1. That's the cell name of this value here. Peradventure, your keyboard, you are using a PC that when you press F1 straight, your keyboard will not, it will not assign it straight. What you can do is you do it manually. When you select this, come before L here and press Shift 4. That's manually. Shift 4 to assign $sign to the column. You come to the row which is 1 and press Shift 4 again to assign that $sign. That's to make it absolute reference. So if your F4 works, that's a shortcut. If it doesn't work on your keyboard, you can use the manually, bring your cursor here, press Shift 4 to assign the $sign to the column and come to the rule and press it Shift 4 to assign $sign to it. I hope that is very, very clear. Okay, now once that is done, you put comma. You put comma. It's asking us for the logical test 1, what do we need when the value, if the value is true, what do we want? If the value is true, what do we want? Give me this. If is true, return diamond. And remember to lock it as well. F4 to, and then you put comma. That's the first logic. We now move to the second logic, as you can see here. Now we are also going to say this. We select this one as well. We click on it. This, if this is greater than this, that's 1005. Peradventure, you are saying to Excel, if this first one is not met, if it's not greater than 2000, okay, leave it and check this. Is it greater than 15? If it's greater than 15, then do this for me. So remember to lock it F4 and then put comma. The value if true is this, good. And then lock it as well F4. F4. That's the logical test 2. Now, if we are working on, if it's only these 2 criteria we are working with, we can stop here. But we are working with 4 tests, 4 criteria, 4 grades. So we move to the next by putting comma. When we press comma, we are also sending to Excel. Peradventure, in case this condition is not met and this condition is not met, help me to check this 3rd condition. We are now saying if this is greater than this, press F4 to lock it and then put comma. The value if true returns saver, and then we press F4 to lock it as well. And over to our final logical test, which is this last one. We go over to this as well and click again. This, if this is greater than this, F4 to lock it, absolute reference to lock it, then comma. If the value is true, return this for me, and then use F4 to lock it as well. Now let's explain our formula. Let's explain what we have here. Now what we see here is this. The first statement starts from we start from here. Now we are saying if the value here is greater than the value here, if any value inside this cell K7 is greater than the value in L1, then we are saying to Excel, return whatever value that is in K1. That's what we are saying to Excel. That's this one, the value is true. Now we are now saying, okay, if you did see this, if the value here is not greater than 2000, help me to check this 2nd condition. Now check if that value here, check if it's greater than 15. If it's greater than 1500, 1500, then return good for me. Return whatsoever that is here, which is good. The same way, if what is here is not up to 15, then check for this next condition. Is it above 1000? If it's above 1000, then return saver. That's what we have here. That's why we have up to 4 logical tests. So after that, you close your parenthesis or your bracket, and then you hit enter. Now you see, automatically what we have here is diamond. Why? Because whatever that is here is greater than 2000. Okay, now let's draw it down and see what we have. Now you notice, you see what we have now. And we are getting this error. Why? Because this, what we have here is less than 500. This one is less than 1000. We have silver, we have diamond, but this is less than. It didn't fall under any of these. So what do we do to rectify it? We go back to our bring in, and if I'm audible, if you can hear me, let's confirm that, please. Very important for me now. Can we all hear me? Can we all hear me? Please, can you hear me? Let's drop in the chat. Let's drop in the chat. If you can hear me, drop in the chat. I haven't really finished logical function. We're already 9 o'clock. Wonderful. Please, can we hear me? All right, beautiful. Okay, now we are saying if this is less than 500, then what do we want? We can put here, we can just type no status, or we just leave it empty. You can say no status, or you leave it empty. Let's say we put this no status, and then we hit enter. We have diamond. Now let's draw down again. Automatically you will now see this one that is less than 500 to return as no status. Please get to understand that. So that's how we make use of ifs. A return value when it's true. If it's not true, it will bring us an error value. Now another way we can, okay, I've not got into error handling function, which we can also handle. If we don't want to use this, we can also use an error handling function to do that. But we are yet to get to that place. All right, that's the aspect of the is function. We have been able to handle the if, we have been able to handle is. All right, if you understand these two, all these ones will become easy for us. So I want us to confirm that you understood these two particular logical functions, if and is. Do we understand it? If we understood it, drop in the comments, drop in the chat, drop on the live chat here. Let me know that we understand what I just taught us about the if and the is. On the chat, I'm waiting for us. Let me know. If we understood it, let me know. Did we understand? If you understand, just type I understand. If you understand, type I understand. I'm waiting for us. If you understand, type I understand. I'm still waiting. I need to be sure, I need to confirm that we understood what I just showed us, so that we move to the next function, the and, or, if and, what we call the nested functions. Let me know if you understood it. Let me know so that we can proceed. If you understand, just type I understand. Type I understand it. We have been able to handle if and is. So I need to be sure before I move to the other ones that we have the sum if, the Sumifs, and the likes, so that we see how we can use them to do deeper analysis and to get deeper findings from our data sets. I want to believe that you are still with me. I'm waiting for our confirmation before I proceed. If you understood what I taught for the if and the is, just type in the comment I understand, then so that we move to the next one. The and or is very easy, then so that we see how far we can go this night. not getting our comments is not encouraging. I need to be sure so that I move. I don't want to be drawn back. Okay, let me assume that we understand it. Moving forward, I will not explain that. I will not go back to explain it again because I want to believe that we understood that. Okay, and function is used to return, and is a logical function that returns either true or false. It returns the value it returns is either true or it returns false. It doesn't return any other thing else. Either it returns only that true or false. Both the and the or function. It return both and or return either true or false. So what and is that when you state more than one argument, more than one statement, more than one logical statement, logical argument, the and function says that both arguments must be true for it to return true. If one of the arguments is false, it will return false. Both arguments must be true for it to return true. So under the and logic, both statements must be true for it to return true. That's one of the challenges. That was what was used during the election, that says and 25% of FCT or thereabout. That was the argument that is being used, that says, okay, the nation has to be doing this and that, what they did, that and that. The constitution says 3/4 and FCT, not with, and stuff like that. So why? Because when you use the and statement means both statements must be true. The and logic means that both statements that must be true for it to return true. For example, if I say your name is, if I said that this place, the country here is Canada, and the product here is a laptop, it's not true. If I say what is here is Canada and the product here is iPhone, it's not true. Why? Because of the and. But if I say this is Canada here, the country here is Canada, or the product here is iPhone, one of the statements is true, then it returns true. So for and or, and both statements must be true for you to return true. The or statement just need one of the statements to be true for you to return true. Or statement only returns false when both statements are false. So for the and, we can say equals to, we type and. Now what's the logic one? We can say this, if this equals Canada, close, and then put comma. That's our first logic. If what is here equals Canada, that's the first logic. Then the second logic, we can say if then and if this equals, let's say, let me put 4 here. Now I can make another statement. I can say also this. If this equals, I can say 2171. And so on and so forth. You can go on and on. So if we have this, then close parentheses. Now what we have here, we have three arguments. We are saying that the value here is Canada. The value in H7 is Canada. The value in G7 is phone, and K7 is 2,171. That's what we are saying. So what that is that if they are both true, if both statement is true, then it will return true. So when we hit enter, it returns false. Why? Because what we have in phone is not true, is bike. So if I change it to bikes, I hit enter, it returns false. And I think I think is it the dollar sign or is it case sensitive? Okay, that's the dollar sign. What is here, the currency that is here is what is missing in that one that I have. So here, if both of them is true, you see it returns true. Now please, if I remove X here, don't tell me that it will recognize it. If I remove X and put only bike, is false. Why? Because bikes and bike are not the same. They must be the statement or the characters must be complete for it to return true. Okay, now let me do the same here due to time. This is not this. Now when I bring this to this place, what do we have? This moves from here to here, this moves from here to here. So let me take this one back and call it G7. That's make it G, and then okay, this should be H. Let me call it H, and then this one, let me call it G. Okay, and hit enter, it becomes true. Now, but then let's check. If I remove one, if I remove the X there, which makes it not to be the same. If I remove the X there, which makes it not to be the same, and hit enter, it becomes false. Why? Because we are using and. Now let's now change it over to or. Let's change it over to or. Now that becomes the or function, and I hit enter. You see automatically it becomes true. It needs one of the statements to be true. It's only false when both statements are false. If I remove the A, hit enter, it returns false. So that is for the if, and that's the and that or function. Now here we are going to be looking at, over this we call it nested. This is what we call nested function. We call it nested function. In other words, function inside another function. Now, how do we make use of this? Let me delete this. How do we make use of this? Let's take, for example, our company, in rewarding our customers. Our company has two conditions. Our company has two conditions. One, the first condition is the amount, and the second condition is the profit. The second condition is the profit. Now let's take, for example, under this, for if or, the company is saying anyone that if let's take, for example, if the amount spent is over 80,000, or the profit is over 2,000, for example, or the profit is over 2,000. What that is saying is this. Let's take, for example, our company in rewarding customers has two conditions, two different conditions, two distinct conditions. The first condition is that if under the amount, we generated more than 80,000 from them, then the person deserves bonus. Or if we didn't generate up to 80,000, but we generated over 2,000 profits. We generated over 2,000 profits. then give bonus or give award, give reward, and whatever. Now, that way is we are going to make use of if together with the or function. This is where we begin to see the importance of or and and. Here we might not necessarily need the importance or use their importance or use them to do anything in data analysis. But when we combine them with other functions, then we begin to see their benefits. We begin to see their use case. Now here we have two distinct conditions. The customers must meet either of these. That's for all. The customer has to meet either of these two conditions. So how do we do it? We come here and say equals to if. Now what is our logical test? Now instead of doing our logical test, we now type the function or, the or function. Now introducing the or function will now enable us to include these criteria we have here, these two distinct conditions. So what is the logical test 1? The logical test 1 is if this is greater than this, comma, the second logic is that if this, the profit, is greater than this. So that forms our logical test in if function. That forms our logical test in if function. Then we close the parenthesis and then put comma. Now everything here, or everything called from or to this place is what forms our logical test. Now Excel is asking if the value here, if what is here returns true, which or function gives us either true or false. So if this returns true, what do we want? What value do we want here? We now put what we have before, deserved bonus, which we have already known. Deserved bonus. Now, if it's not true, no bonus. That's, we close the parentheses as well. That's how we make use of if or, and then we hit enter. So what that is saying, deserved bonus. Why? Because if we check this, this doesn't meet, the first criteria is not met, but it meets the second criteria. This is less than 80,000, but because the profit is higher than 2,000, then the person deserves bonus. So if we take it down, you will now see what we have here. And what are we seeing here? You see that we have something that is likely an error. This person should receive bonus because the profit is greater than 2,000, and we are seeing no bonus. Why is it so? Why is so is very simple. Now, if I double click here, watch what happened. You see that this one is talking about this. It has moved from here. That's why we need to absolute reference it. Why this is moving down, this one is moving down as well. And what we are looking at here doesn't correspond to anything here. So that is no, but anything here is 0. That's why we are seeing deserved bonus, deserved bonus, deserved bonus. All right. Now to rectify it, we come back to our formula. Now on this Q1 here, I will press F4 to lock it, absolute reference, and on Q2, I will press F4 as well to absolute reference it. So with that, I have rectified this formula and hit enter. So if I double click now, you see what we have. Now this one that was saying deserved bonus before now says no bonus. Why? Because both criteria were not met. This is less than 80,000 and this is less than 2,000. This one as well, this is less than 80 and this is less than 2,000. That is on that. Okay. Now for the OR function, this is for OR function. Now let's look at the AND. Is the same, but I'm going to copy. Let me copy this. Let me copy this here. Let me copy Control C, and then let me come here and paste it. Sorry, Control C. Let me copy this. Control C, and then escape. Press the escape button. Then come here, Control V. Okay, that becomes our formula. The only thing I need to put here, I need to put my equals to here. And then remember, we are looking at the nested function when it has to do with AND. What this now means is that they must meet this, these two distinct conditions. The customers must have more than 80,000, we must have generated more than 80,000, and at the same time, the profit must be over 2,000. So that's when we use AND, if that's the condition. If that is the condition, that's when we use the AND function. So using the AND function means that both criteria must be met for us to, for the customer to deserve bonus. So here we are making use of the two functions. That's what we call nested functions. Remember, we did that also yesterday in test function. So when we hit enter, we have here no bonus. Why? Because the second criteria was met, but this person did not get up to 80,000. So if we drag it down, we see no bonus, only this person that meet both criteria. Only this person that met both criteria. So that's where we talk about the nested function, the ifs, if and. We can also use it when we have stuff like this. We can also use it when we have stuff like this. Okay. Now the next is the sum if. We are moving over to the sum if. Next is sum if. Now what do we use sum if for? What do we use sum if to achieve? Now for sum if, we use sum if when, excuse me, let me remove this entirely so that it doesn't. All right. Now sum if, for example, let's say for example, our manager said we want to know the total profit we generated from country, from let's say United States, for example. We have Canada, we have France, we have United States. I think we also have United Kingdom also. All right. What is this? Maybe it's a mistake before. Okay. Let's say we want to know the total profit generated by United States only. It will be very foolish of me to come here and say this. I will come and be looking at, okay, this is United States, okay, this is profit, and then I say plus, I check, I stress, oh, United States, this is profit, I select and say plus, I now drag, come down, this United States, and then I'll be checking, scrolling down. I will suffer in suffering. So that's where sum if helps us. When we want to get the total from a particular country, region, customer name, product, whatsoever, if we want to know the total profit we generate from the product category bikes, I think this is product category. Yes, from the product category, let's say generated from product category called bikes, we can use sum if. We use sum if. Here, let's say we want to know how much profit generated from United States. So to do that, we are going to say equals to Sumif. We come over to Sumif here, double click. Now, what is the range? What range? And the criteria, and then some range. These are three conditions that we are going to follow. The range here is that column that has the condition you want to attach. The column here is country. We want to attach a condition, we need only United States. So we come over to this, we click, hold Control, hold Shift, press the down arrow to highlight the entire range. And this data set is a data set of over 60,000. So we press Control Backspace. Imagine if I'm doing this one after the other, one by one. Imagine if I'm doing it one by one, tracing United States one by one, up to 60,000. I'm going to faint now. In fact, I might even be fed up and say, no, this job is too difficult. But when you know your route, when you know how to navigate it, it's just within a second, within split seconds, you do that and you get your result. Okay, let's proceed. Now you press Control Backspace to return where we are. That becomes our range. Now when you highlight it, that becomes our range. You say, comma, what is the criteria? Now the criteria here is United States. The criteria here is United States. What that is simple. Now what I can do, I'm going to use this to show us a trick to make it a bit dynamic. To make it a bit dynamic. So I'm going to click here. Okay, sorry. That's if you want to type in United States by yourself, you put quotation. But now I don't want to type it. I don't want to type United States straight. I just want to click here. Now that's the criteria. Then I say, comma, what's the sum range? I want to sum all the profit we generate from United States. So I'm going to click here, Control Shift down to highlight the entire range, Control Backspace to get back where we are. And then, of course, I'm going to faint with that, of course. So if I'm doing it one by one, in fact, I will not even be able to do it. Then I will, having gotten the range, this is our range, this is the criteria, whatever we want it to sum, this is the sum range, the value. Whenever you see United States, we are saying to Excel, if you see United States here, add it up for me. I need the sum for only United States. So then you hit enter. It brings 0. Why? Because I haven't indicated what should be here. So here, let me check whether it's just United States. Okay, it's United States, not United States of America. So here, I can now come here and type. If I type in here United States, hit enter. As you can see, automatically it displays, it shows me the total value. Here I can use the comma separator to separate them to know what they are. This is 5 million something. Now, here, once I type in United States, let me color this so that the place becomes okay. United States here, you see, this shows. Now let's take for example, our manager said, okay, we have seen the one of United States, forward it for me, and later the person comes back and says, okay, will the total Please, can we confirm if we are good? Can we confirm if we are good? Can we confirm if we are good? Just let me know if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, I was saying earlier that one good thing about this is that if I do it in this way, it makes it to be dynamic. So if I type in here Australia and hit enter, we see automatically it updates. It updates. So with this, it becomes dynamic. That's why on the formula I have to click here as my criteria instead of typing United States straight. Now what that would have done if, let's say for example, I came here and type United States straight, what that would have done to me is that anytime I want to update, I will come to the formula and type the next one and do that, and with that it will make it will not be dynamic. So if I hit enter, it gives me that of United States but not Australia. So even if I change anything here, it doesn't count. If I type in Canada here, it doesn't count. Hit enter, this remains the way it is. So that's why I always make use of this pattern. I recommend that you use that as well. Coming here to click on a cell, a particular cell. Going forward, if I click that, most thing I do is to lock it, F4 to lock it. Going further, I will also show us, we will learn what is called data validation. Now on top here, is showing you that is Canada that is in the cell. So going forward, we also learn what is data validation so that we don't need to be typing stuff here over and over again. All right, let's hit enter. And that is for the sum if. That is for the sum if. The sum if. Now the sum ifs. The sum ifs is also multiple criteria. Let's say we want to sum. We have here Canada, we have product category. Let's say we have product category. And then we have product category. And let's say we want to know how much profit generated from bikes from a particular country. Now is more than one. Is more than one. That's why we are looking at some ifs. Some ifs is more than one. When we are looking for a particular profit, we want to know how much profit is generated from a product category bikes and from, say, Canada or France, Australia, and what have you. So what we do here is we use some ifs. So we say equals some if. Let me do that under some ifs. We say equals some ifs. This one is what we are going to select, double click on it. It's asking us the sum range. What are we summing? Profit. We come here, click on it, Control Shift down arrow, Control backspace. Then that is our sum range. You can lock it if you want. If you don't want this, based on we are not dragging anything down. So we put comma. What is the criteria range 1? The criteria range 1 is the product category. We come there, Control Shift down. That's the criteria range 1, Control backspace. So that's our criteria range 1 is the category which we have here. So we put comma. Then what is our criteria 1? Our criteria 1 is this. I will click on this. Let me lock it, F4. then put comma. Then what's our criteria range 2? Our criteria range 2 is content. I will come here, click, and then hold Control, hold Shift, press the down arrow, Control backspace to return where we are. And then we press comma. Let me move forward so that we can see it. That's on Sumif. Now we put comma. What is, oh my God, I have removed. Okay, what is our second criteria? That's criteria 2, which is the country, Canada here, and then close your parentheses. That is what the formula is. That's our function, and then we hit enter. Automatically we have 0. Why? Because we don't have anything here. We have Canada. Then what are we looking for? Let's say we are looking for bytes. Let's say we are looking for bytes. You see what we now have. Let me make this white as well. You now see it sums it up, and let me make it a separator. Now, what that shows us is that from bytes, from the product that is under bikes category, we have generated a profit of over ₦1 million in Canada. In Canada. Now, if we want to know how much we made from this particular category in France, what we just need to do is to type France here and then hit enter. It updates. It's dynamic. That's one beauty. That's one of the beauty stuff of Excel, using Excel functions and formulas. It's dynamic when you understand your Excel properly. And please, I want to emphasize, practice makes improvement. It is by consistent practice that you will be able to master this effectively. And that's one of the reasons why we are making use of the YouTube platform, so that anytime, any day, you can access it. Whether you lost your phone, you can access it from your PC, you can access it from your phone. So that's why we are not making use of the closed platform. I don't want a situation where persons will come and tell me, sir, I lost my videos, can you resend it? Can you repost it? I lost it. And no, so that's why we are making use of the YouTube platform, that anytime you can access this video, watch it and practice so as to master it. Also, we are going to be giving us project assignments at the end of this particular module, the formula functions and the real life project. Okay, if we want to, let's say we want to know if there are other products, there are other product categories. Let me move down. Okay, accessories. Now, accessories, we have buys, clothing, and the likes. So if I come here and check how much we are making in clothing in France, hit enter. You see it updates. We are not making much from that category in France. It updates. If we want to also check, okay, let's look at accessories. Also in France, this is what we are making as regards to that in France. So that way it's dynamic. That is the Sumifs. Then the nested if. The nested if, I'm going to skip it to move to Averageif. The same way for Sumif, the same of the sum. Here is the one of sum. The same for Sumif is the same for Averageif. The same for Sumifs is the same for Averageifs. Please, let's take note of that. Let's take note of that. I'm going to skip this. This is called nested ifs. Nested if. Nested if is used when, if you are using Office 2010, Office 2013, you might not necessarily have the ifs function. If you are using Office 20, I think even Office 2019 doesn't have this ifs function. So if you are using Office 2019, what you are going to make use of is what we call nested if. And I'm going to show us this practically. I'm going to show us this practically when we get to this point where we will be working on result sheet, where we will be working on a school result sheet. We will make use of that particular nested if. So for those of us that doesn't have ifs, maybe you are using Office 2019, 2016, 13, you will not see this function. This function starts from Office 2021. So that is for those of us using that. Okay, now average if, like I said, is the same way of sum if. The only thing is that you change the function. You change, if you understand sum if, change the function and replace it with average if. So let's see it. We are going to look, let's say we want to know the average profit generated from United States. We are going to say on average if. Double click here. What is the range? The range is the country. Under the column called country, we'll highlight control backspace, then press comma. What is the criteria? The criteria is, let's say the criteria is this. Let me select this one. That's the criteria. Then comma. What is the average range? The average range is the profit. We want to know the average profit generated. Then control backspace. That becomes our, let me move forward. That becomes our function average if. This becomes our range. Then this becomes our criteria. And then this becomes our average range. Then I hit enter. It will bring this. Why? Because there is no value yet. Let me make this. Because we have here, there is no value yet. And what's average? Average is the total value divided by the total number. The total sum divided by the total number. So if I come here now and put in United States, or let me type in France and hit enter, automatically we now have average profit generated from France is 280. If I put United States to know the average profit generated, we see we have 257.16 cents. So that is for average if. The same for sum if is, let me copy this, Control C, and then escape and paste here, Control V, due to our time. And then let me now insert my equality sign. Like I said, everything remains the same. Just the function is what we are going to change. Average ifs. That's all. Everything remains, just the function alone is what we are going to change. We now have this. Average ifs. Remember the average range, which is this. The range criteria 1 is this, the range, the criteria 1, and so on and so forth. Everything remains the same. All right, I will hit enter. That is our average is. Average is. Okay, moving forward, we look at the count if. Remember what we use count for? We use count to count numeric values. So if we want to count the number of sales from France, we use count if. So we can say equals the count. This is the count if here. Double click, what's the range? The range we want to count the number of times we have France. We select here, Control Shift, and what did I do? Control Z. Okay, let's do that again. What is the range? Here we are looking for the range on that country. We hold Control Shift, press the down arrow to highlight or select the entire range. control backspace to get back to where we are. Is the criteria. The criteria is this. Let's still select this criteria here. Let's say we want to know that of United States, and then we hit enter. It shows us the count is 21,344. If we change it to France or Canada, then hit enter, it shows us that for that it only occurs 7,620 for this data set. So that is what we use COUNTIF for. Now COUNTIFs is also when we have two conditions. Let's say this one and this one as well. Let me select this and use white. Now let's say we have two conditions. So we say equals count. We are selecting this COUNTIFs. Now under count of criteria range 1, that's the first criteria is our product. You can use any criteria anywhere, but we are using this data set. Highlight the entire range, control backspace to get where we are, and then put comma. Once our first criteria, the first criteria is this, then put comma. The range, the criteria range 2 is the country. We select, control shift down arrow to select the entire range, control backspace, get back where we are, then put comma. Once our second criteria is this, and then we hit enter. It shows us 0. Why? Because we haven't declared the second one here. So if I type in clothing, for example, if I type in clothing here from Canada, we want to know the total number of clothing accessories that are in Canada. The total number of times. Please let's confirm if you can hear me if we are good. I think it was fluctuating. The network is fluctuating. Is drizzling, and will I say it's raining a bit here. It's drizzling, or will I say it's raining a bit here. The network is not favorable. Please guys, are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Is this still fluctuating? Are we good? Can we hear me? Is this still fluctuating? My God. Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? It seems it's a bit fluctuating. I'm seeing from my end here. It's just fluctuate and drop, fluctuate and drop. I don't know if the same from your end. Wow, 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 wow. I wanted to see if I can even finish up these ones and then at least know we are able to finish logical function this night. Please, I, are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Please, I need to confirm from us, are we good? Let me quickly finish this one and then we end the section tonight. Uh, is still from my end is still doing stop and roll, stop and roll. Means I need to be sure we are good. Okay. Let's look at these functions here. The round functions, round between, round, round up, round down. Let's look at them and then let's believe network gives us the time and we wrap it up tonight. Okay, for round between, we use it to generate a random number, random figure between a particular range. That's round between. For example, if I want to generate a number between, if I want to generate a number between 50 and 100, any number, if I want to generate any number between 50 and 100, so I can use round between. I can say equals round. This function comes up, I then select this, double click. It will ask me what is the bottom and top. The bottom, let's say I say is 50, comma, then 100. Now I close my bracket, hit enter. Automatically generates a random number for me. So with this, I use this to generate product IDs. If I'm generating a data set I want to practice with or work with, or assign a product ID to a particular product, or assign customer ID, assign staff ID, I use the round between. So if I drag it down, it generates different number for me, but it has to fall, all of them must fall between 50 and 100. So if I want it to be between 1 to 100, I can put 1 here, hit enter, it changes. If I drag this down, you see we now have like 18, 32 and what have you. So that is for the round between. That is for round between. That is for round between. Then the next one is to round. Let's say this, we want to round it up to the nearest decimal. We can go ahead and say equals round. Double click here. Then this number, what we want to round, the number I want to round, then command number of digits. Let's say we put 1 and then we hit enter. Automatically it